You drink black coffee every morning, feel sharp, sure you're protecting your fast, but your body is quietly dismantling the exact repair process you believe you're protecting. Not because coffee is bad, not because fasting fails. A timing collision. A collision almost nobody in the wellness space ever explains to you. This is educational only, not medical advice. Always check with your own doctor. The mechanism runs through every cup, starting the second you wake. Your alarm goes off. You open your eyes. Coffee maker hasn't even started. Already your adrenal glands have sent a chemical signal through your bloodstream. That signal is cortisol, not the burnout kind, a different biological event called the cortisol awakening response. Same arc every single morning. Within 30 to 45 minutes of waking, cortisol climbs 50 to 160% above baseline. Researchers have measured this for decades, one of biology's most predictable events. This spike exists for a reason. It's your body's biological starting gun. For ages, humans woke needing to move, hunt, stay alert immediately. Cortisol lifts blood pressure slightly, sharpens attention, and signals the liver. It tells the liver to start manufacturing glucose, not from food, from your own amino acids, stored glycogen, and fat precursors instead. This process is called gluconeogenesis, your built-in early morning fuel shift. It fuels your first hours without you eating a single calorie. That manufactured glucose enters your blood. Blood sugar rises. When blood sugar rises, the pancreas releases insulin to manage it. Insulin moves glucose into cells, but it does something else too. It shuts down a cellular maintenance process called autophagy. Autophagy recycles damaged parts, broken proteins, worn-out cellular machinery, debris. Picture an overnight cleaning crew moving through your whole body's warehouse, pulling broken equipment off shelves, recycling what's salvageable, discarding the rest. That cleaning crew is why a 16-hour fast differs from skipping breakfast. When insulin arrives at the loading dock, the crew stops and leaves. Not because insulin is bad. It signals nutrients are present. System fed. Maintenance mode yields to growth mode. Repair pauses, building begins. This sequence happens every morning, whether you eat or not. The only question is how powerfully and how early it fires. And that is exactly where your morning coffee enters the picture. Most fasters wake and immediately make coffee. 0 calories, the logic goes. A cup of black coffee holds maybe 2 to 5 calories. True. But the calorie story is the wrong story. Coffee carries a drug. Caffeine is pharmacologically active. It acts straight on your nervous system, and it has a measured effect on cortisol. Nothing to do with calories. Research from the University of Oklahoma found caffeine amplifies cortisol responses, even in habitual coffee drinkers, not only the rare ones. Stay with me. Drink caffeine inside that 30 to 45 minute window, and you add fuel. Fuel to a fire your body already lit. And there's one number your doctor probably hasn't checked. More on that soon. You ran the fast on paper, but inside your body, a quiet collision was already underway. It is not the coffee that is the problem. It is the timing of when you drink it. And there is one hormone rising the moment you wake that changes everything. More on that in a moment. Let me show you what is happening inside, step by step. And first, a gentle reminder, this is educational only, not medical advice. Always check with your own doctor before changing anything. Your alarm goes off, your eyes open, and before your feet touch the floor, your adrenal glands send out a chemical signal. That signal is cortisol. And this is not the stress cortisol from burnout articles. This is something different. It is called the cortisol awakening response. Within 30 to 45 minutes of waking, cortisol climbs 50 to 160% above its overnight level. This happens every single morning, without fail. Researchers have measured it for decades. It is one of the most predictable events in human biology. This spike exists for a reason. For thousands of years, waking meant immediate action, moving, hunting, staying alert. Cortisol is the biological starting gun. It nudges up blood pressure, sharpens attention, and signals the liver to start making glucose, not from food, from your own stored amino acids, glycogen, and fat. The liver runs an early morning production shift. This process is called gluconeogenesis. It is your built-in way of fueling the first hours of the day without eating a single calorie. If this is making sense so far, a quick tap of the like button helps me reach more people your age. Now here is why it matters for your fast. That manufactured glucose enters your bloodstream. Blood sugar rises even modestly, and when blood sugar rises, the pancreas responds. The pancreas releases insulin. Insulin is the hormone that moves glucose into your cells. That part most people know. But insulin does something else almost nobody mentions. It quietly shuts down a cellular cleanup process called autophagy. Autophagy is how your cells break down and recycle damaged parts, worn proteins, broken machinery, debris from years of normal living. Think of it as an overnight cleaning crew moving through the warehouse of your body, pulling broken equipment off the shelves. This cleaning crew is the whole point of a 16-hour fast. It is what makes fasting different from just skipping breakfast. But when insulin arrives at the loading dock, the cleaning crew stops working and leaves. The signal says nutrients are here, and here is the catch. This whole sequence, cortisol to glucose to insulin, the cleanup shutdown happens every morning, whether you eat or not. The only question is how powerfully and how early it happens. That is exactly where your morning coffee walks in. Most people who fast wake up and make coffee right away. The logic seems obvious. Black coffee has almost no calories. A cup of black coffee holds only 2 to 5 calories. On calories alone, it barely moves insulin. That part is true. But the mainstream fasting conversation treats calories as the only thing that matters. And that framing is incomplete in a way that costs you results. Because caffeine is not a food. It is a drug that acts directly on your nervous system, and it raises cortisol on its own. Research from the University of Oklahoma showed caffeine raises cortisol, even in people who drink coffee every day. So when you drink coffee in that first 30 to 45 minutes after waking, you add fuel to a fire your body already lit. The cortisol spike that would have peaked at one level now climbs higher. And a higher spike means more aggressive glucose production. More glucose, more insulin. And the cleaning crew gets an early eviction notice, 2 to 3 hours before your eating window even opens. Let me introduce someone. Meet Margaret, 68. She is just an example, but her morning will help you see all of this clearly. Margaret wakes at 6. By 6:15, she has her black coffee, proud of her clean 16-hour fast. She feels nothing wrong at all, but inside, her cortisol is climbing higher than it should. Her liver speeds up. Her cleaning crew is already packing its bags. To understand why caffeine does this, we need to talk about a chemical called adenosine. It builds up while you are awake. Adenosine builds sleep pressure. It is why you feel more tired as the day goes on. By morning, after a full night, it is at its peak. The cortisol awakening response is partly designed to clear that adenosine load over the first hour or two of your morning. Caffeine works by blocking the receptors adenosine plugs into. Flood them at the wrong moment, and you push the whole system past its natural path. And there is a second effect we will come back to soon. One that explains the strange mid-morning hunger so many fasters feel. Keep that in mind. Instead of peaking and falling in its normal arc, cortisol climbs higher and stays elevated longer when caffeine arrives too early. Researchers at the University of Bristol found this effect was strongest in exactly that early waking window. The timing is not random. This is the invisible villain in your morning. Not the coffee itself, but the collision between caffeine and your natural cortisol window. Every morning you pour that first cup in the first half hour, you press the accelerator on a chain reaction that ends with cleanup shut down too long. Here's the picture to hold on to. Think of your cells like a giant warehouse with an overnight cleaning crew that sweeps through every night. That cleaning crew is autophagy. It pulls broken parts off the shelves, recycles what it can, and clears out the debris. This crew is the whole reason a real fast is different from simply skipping breakfast. The cleaning is the point, but there's a manager in this warehouse. His name is mTOR. He decides whether the building grows or whether it gets cleaned. When the manager hears a delivery is coming, he calls in the full work crew, clears the dock, and stops the cleaning audit at once. It doesn't matter if the shipment is big or small. Just the signal that something is arriving is enough to send the cleaning crew home. And cortisol-driven glucose is exactly that signal. Your liver makes glucose, blood sugar rises, and the manager hears delivery, even though you ate nothing. Insulin then arrives at the loading dock. Insulin is the truck pulling in. The cleaning crew sees it and clocks out. A 2016 Nobel Prize went to Yoshinori Osumi for mapping exactly how this cleaning crew is switched on and off inside the cell. His work showed the crew is exquisitely sensitive. The presence of insulin and an active mTOR manager are among the strongest things that shut it down. So picture Margaret, 68, here just as an example. She runs a careful 16-hour fast, proud, disciplined, never a single calorie before noon. But Margaret's first 2 to 3 hours look biologically much closer to the fed state than the fasted one. Her cleaning crew barely got started. There's a second mechanism too, and it explains that foggy hunger that hits around 10 or 11 in the morning. It runs through adenosine, the chemical that builds sleep pressure overnight. By morning, it sits at its highest level. Caffeine blocks the receptors adenosine uses. You feel sharp, but adenosine keeps piling up quietly behind that blockade. 2 to 3 hours later, the caffeine fades, the receptors open, and all that stored adenosine floods in at once. That's the mid-morning crash. That crash isn't real hunger. Your brain reads it as needing fuel and reaches for food or another cup. The 6:45 coffee made the 10:30 hunger. Now what about cream, milk, or butter? Even a splash of cream carries leucine, one of the most powerful switches that flips the mTOR manager on. The cleaning crew doesn't wind down gently with cream, it just stops. Butter and MCT oil add a heavy calorie load the body must process too. Quick note before we go on. None of this is medical advice, it's education only. Always check with your own doctor before changing anything. Here's what should happen in a clean fast. In the first 12 hours, insulin falls, and the cleaning crew slowly trickles back in as the dock goes quiet. Between hours 12 and 16, with insulin truly low, the crew works at full strength. This is the part of fasting that actually matters. Now lay the coffee problem over that timeline. At hour 10, you pour. Cortisol jumps, glucose climbs, insulin follows, and the crew gets an eviction notice. You reach noon feeling disciplined, but you may have generated 8 to 10 hours of real cleaning instead of the 14 or 15 you were capable of. There's a deeper layer still, your body clock. A 2017 Nobel Prize honored the discovery that every organ runs on its own daily rhythm. And there's one timing detail that makes morning coffee hit harder than the same cup in the afternoon. Hold that thought. It's coming. The liver's own clock sets it to peak glucose making between roughly 5 and 9 in the morning, so caffeine hits a system already running at its daily maximum. That's why the same cup at 2 in the afternoon behaves differently. The compound is identical. The circadian timing changes everything it does inside you. So here's the fix, and it costs you nothing. I call it the clear protocol. 3 simple moves for your morning. Margaret started with these. Move 1. The cortisol window. No caffeine for the first 90 minutes after your eyes open. Set a timer if it helps. That single delay lets the cleaning crew finish its shift. If you're over 50 or sleep poorly or carry chronic stress, stretch that delay closer to 120 minutes. Your cortisol arc is sharper and more concentrated. During that window, drink water. A quarter teaspoon of sea salt in 16 ounces keeps your electrolytes steady. And sodium doesn't trigger insulin at all. That water actually helps the crew. The little structures that digest the debris, the lysosomes, need good hydration to do their job well. Quick reminder, comment the word clear below if you're trying this. No pressure, I just want to see who's actually putting it into practice. Move 2, the light anchor. Within 10 minutes of waking, get your eyes to natural daylight. 2 to 5 minutes outdoors, not through glass if you can manage it. This isn't a wellness slogan. Morning light travels from your eye to the brain's master clock and sets the pace of adenosine clearing for the whole day. Anchor with light first, and the coffee you have 90 minutes later lands on a cleaner baseline, with a shallower crash and far less mid-morning hunger. The light anchor also makes the coffee delay easier to hold because you're not dragging through that first hour feeling like you need the cup. Move 3, the break-fast anchor. When your eating window opens, your first meal should have protein, but it shouldn't lead with protein alone. Lead with a little fiber and fat first, some olive oil, avocado, or vegetables. They slow how fast amino acids hit so the mTOR manager wakes up gently. You still want mTOR to fire after 50, your muscle needs it. But a gradual rise lets the last of your cleaning window finish before the crew clocks out. Here's the trap that undoes all 3. Many people delay the coffee, then eat right after the 90 minutes. They swap a cortisol problem for an mTOR one. So here is the first move you can start tonight, and it costs nothing. When your alarm goes off tomorrow, do not reach for coffee right away. Give your body about 90 minutes after you open your eyes before that first cup. I'll set a gentle timer if it helps you remember. This simple delay lets your natural morning cortisol rise and fall on its own, without caffeine pushing it higher than your body intended. During that wait, plain water is perfectly fine. A pinch of sea salt in a tall glass keeps your minerals balanced without any insulin response at all. Remember Margaret, our friend who was 68 and frustrated. She tried only this first change, the morning coffee delay, and within days her mid-morning fog began to ease. Now the second move, and this one is my favorite because it is so easy. Let me show you what it is. Within 10 minutes of waking, get your eyes into natural daylight. Step outside if you can, even for 2 to 5 minutes. If stepping outside is hard, simply sit by your brightest window for about 10 minutes. Glass weakens the signal, so open it a little if you safely can. That morning light reaches a tiny master clock in your brain and sets your whole day's rhythm. It makes the coffee wait far easier to hold. Now the third move, and it is about how you break your fast when your eating window finally opens. The order of your food matters. Do not lead with protein alone. A protein shake or eggs by themselves hit that growth switch hard, right when your repair crew is working its best. Instead, start with a little fiber and fat. A few vegetables, some avocado, a splash of olive oil, then your protein after. That gentle start slows how fast everything absorbs, so your repair window finishes more fully before the growth switch flips on. Here is the common mistake to avoid. Do not treat the end of your 90-minute coffee wait as the moment to eat. Those are 2 separate clocks, and the easiest way to keep all this is to set up your kitchen for it. Put a glass of water by your bed and your coffee farther away. One important note before we wrap up. If you ever feel chest pain, severe dizziness, or anything that frightens you in the morning, do not wait. See a doctor right away. So let me bring it all together for you gently. 3 small moves, and the biggest one, if you only pick a single change, is the coffee wait. Wait about 90 minutes after you wake for your coffee. Get morning light early, and start your first meal with fiber and fat before protein. That is the whole thing. You do not have to lengthen your fast. You do not have to give up the coffee you love. You only have to fix the timing. And remember Margaret, With these small changes, her mornings felt clearer and her afternoons steadier. No fancy supplements, nothing to buy. A quick reminder, this video is for learning only and is not medical advice. Always talk with your own healthcare professional before changing your routine, your diet, or any medication. If you found this helpful, consider subscribing. It is the gentle nudge that keeps these plain language explainers coming to you each week. And if you start this week, leave a quick comment so I can cheer you on. I may make a follow-up on the first 10 days of properly timed mornings. So tomorrow, when your eyes open and the coffee calls, pause, step into the light, and let your morning unfold on your body's own clock. That small wait is the whole gift.